also the problem. So how we can able to find out the at the source end as well as at the load end. Okay, now we'll move to the next topic, so that is microstrip line. Microstrip line. So this is very important. So in our microwave or in the RF circuits and even in the passive circuits or in the active circuits, because this is very extensively used in almost all the circuits. Okay, so among all the planar transmission line, this is the most widely used microstrip line, which is mostly used planar transmission line. Okay, so generally what are the advantages of this microstrip line? Okay, so it is easy to fabricate. Okay, easy to fabricate, and it is low cost. That is very important, because so many of the circuits so need low cost devices. Okay, so for that purpose, so this microstrip line having very low cost, and it is easy to fabricate, and also it will be easy to integrate. Okay, so any microwave circuit, so it is easy to integrate with this microstrip line and easy to fabricate. Why? Because the structure it is like that, in such a way that it can be manufactured or it can be fabricated like in general whatever you done PCB circuits. So similar like PCB circuits, you can able to fabricate this microstrip line also. So then how the structures look like? So this microstrip line, so I'll write the structure how exactly it will be. Okay, so this is actually the microstrip line. So where we have the upper part, which is the green color one, which is we'll call it as the conductor. So any conductor you can take, and this is the ground plane. So also this is also a conductor. Okay, so whatever the green color which I am showing here, so those are all conductors, and this strip also it is a conductor. Okay, so now these two conductors which are separated by a dielectric. Okay, so this will be called it as, so this whatever the portion which is there in the blue. Okay, so between these two green conductors, okay, so that is green colored the conductors, so in between there will be a dielectric. Okay, so this is the structure of the microstrip line or any microstrip structure. Okay, so there will be two conductors. So this is actually the conductor which is carrying the signal, and this is the ground plane. Okay, so through this dielectric the wave propagation happens. Okay, so now we have this width of this conductor, so W, and this height of the dielectric which is H. Okay, so this thickness or height of the dielectric you can call it as H, and the width of the conductor is W, and also this thickness of this strip or conductor on top of this dielectric is T. Okay, so now we can use any dielectric substrate based on our application. Okay, so there are many dielectric substrate. Okay, it will be having some dielectric constant. Okay, so this value dielectric epsilon r, which will be denoted as dielectric constant. So for different materials, for different dielectric materials, this epsilon r will be different. Okay, so now if you see the wave propagation or field configuration for this. Okay, so if I take the field configuration of this microstrip structure, so if you take the E field and H field configuration, okay, so there is a E field which are emerging from this conductor and it is going to the ground plane. So this is actually the E field. So actually it should be within the conductor itself. It will not go outside. Okay. So it should be within the conductor itself, that is within the dielectric space. So now the magnetic field which are surrounded by the strip of conductor. Okay. So now this is actually the E field lines, and this will be the H field lines. Okay, so this is a field configuration. So if we take in general 2-wire conductor transmission line, okay, so just if we take a 2-conductor transmission line or 2-conductor system, the mode of propagation will be TEM. Okay, so that is transverse electromagnetic mode. So even here also there are 2 conductors. Okay, so even here it is separated by a air. Okay, but here the separation is with respect to dielectric, which is equal to having epsilon r, some value. So okay, if I take some generally available the material FR4, okay, so which will be having epsilon r equal to 4.3 or 4.4, some materials. So some companies they will specify 4.4 and some they will specify 4.3. So here epsilon r will be equal to 1. So the wave propagation happens in 2-conductor transmission line, which is transverse electromagnetic. So now here, so there are actually the epsilon r involved, because the epsilon r value is in the dielectric, it is different, and epsilon r value above this conductor, which is dielectric constant of 1, that is air. Okay, so since there is a free space around this conductor and there is no bonding like a 2-wire conductor transmission line, there is a wave propagation here. Okay, so there is no actual TEM it will exist. Instead of TEM, even though it is 2-conductor system, because of these field lines which are emerging from the conductor and it is going through air and through dielectric to the ground. Okay, so it will not be having pure TEM wave. Instead we have the mode of propagation which is called as quasi TEM wave. Okay, quasi in the sense almost it is similar like TEM, but we have to define the effective epsilon r for this, that is effective dielectric constant, because there are 2 dielectrics which are involved. Okay, so the field lines which are going from the air and through the other dielectric and then to the ground. Okay, so that's why we need to define the effective dielectric constant. Okay, so if I define effective dielectric constant, so within that medium the complete waves will be propagated. Okay, so that's why it is called as quasi TEM mode of propagation. So all microstrip structures, so whether you can take antenna or microwave circuit or filter or any other thing, so which are there in the microstrip structure format, so they will be having the quasi TEM mode of propagation. Okay, so now what are the disadvantages of this microstrip line? So now we have seen some of the advantages, that is easy to fabricate, easy to integrate, low cost, and also it will be less size will be very less. You can actually design it on PCB, normal PCB. Okay, so many advantages are there. So then what are the disadvantages? So the disadvantages is, so there is a spurious radiation. Okay, so spurious radiation in the sense the radiation which is going to the air also, some of the waves or some of the energy will be lost much. Okay, and also we will be having surface wave propagation. So that surface wave propagation restrict the wave to maximize the transfer from source to the load. So if I put the power here, source, so if I have a load end here, okay, so that will restrict the power what is going from source to the load, so that will going to restrict, that is surface wave propagation. Okay, surface waves, and also it is actually low power handling capacity. Okay, so we cannot use so some higher power applications, so we have to use for this low power applications. So that is what the disadvantages of the microstrip line. And also this, so extensively which are, so these microstrip lines are extensively which are used in the microwave circuit design, that is, so microwave integrated circuit design, which will be called it as MIC, and even MMIC also we can use. Okay, so and we have to because of this simple to integrate and less size, so the lumped element also can be so integrate with this microstrip line. And also the components which are so on this transmission line or on this microstrip line, so there are very much popular nowadays. So the people who are using extensively to integrate to the microwave circuits also along with the lumped elements. Okay, so this is about the structure and how the wave propagation and how the field configuration and all. So now what are the dielectrics which we are having? Okay, so we have used the dielectric here. Okay, so we have different types of dielectrics which we will encounter that are practically available, because so this dielectrics which we need for fabrication, so we have to look into first what are the availability of the dielectric materials. So according to that we have to decide upon so which dielectric is useful for particular application. Okay, so now the dielectric used in the fabrication so of this microstrip line, so actually it is characterized by this epsilon r. So that is, so this value tells us so the dielectric material behavior, and also there is one more factor which will be called it as tan delta. Okay, so this will discuss. So the tan delta is nothing but a loss tangent, also we can call it as loss tangent. So this loss tangent tells us how much loss which is happening or which is there in the particular dielectric material. So that actually defines the loss tangent. And also we have epsilon r, we can find out by epsilon naught. So if the company or people specify for their dielectric, so dielectric value, so we can find out what is the total epsilon r, epsilon. So where epsilon naught is the permittivity of the free space, that you know, so 8.85 into 10 power minus 12 farad per meter. So now most common available dielectric materials, so as I said, so one of this is FR4, okay, and even we have RT Duride, okay, and even Teflon, and so many other are there, silica, alumina. So these are all the some of the so dielectric materials which are available so in the market, and based on the application you can able to use them. Okay, so this actually RT Duride, which is having a so loss in the dielectric material, so whatever we call it as loss tan delta or loss tangent, which is very much less compared to your FR4 or other materials. Okay, so this tan loss or loss tangent, it is comparatively less for this RT Duride. So now how the EM wave propagates so along this or through this structure. Okay, so the EM wave propagation, so which is actually in this conductor, which is the traveling, which actually it is a non-dispersive in nature, so below its cutoff frequency. So say for example if we have so the cutoff frequency for this, we can define the F naught, the cutoff frequency, so that can be defined in terms of the characteristic impedance of the line, so that we can call it as Z naught, and thickness of the dielectric, so that H, and the dielectric constant. Okay, so this is what the cutoff frequency can able to define for microstrip line, where H, so that is thickness of dielectric, so this is actually in the centimeter. Okay, so if you take that and you can calculate what is the cutoff frequency for particular characteristic impedance, particular height of the dielectric, and particular epsilon r value. So actually this cutoff frequency will be specified in the data sheet of the dielectric material. So you can look into that and we can up to what frequency we can able to use that dielectric for particular application, we can able to get it. Okay, so now the phase velocity which is actually transfer the wave propagation happens. So the phase velocity of the wave, so which can be defined it as C by root effective epsilon. Okay, So this actually this is important, so that is effective dielectric constant. Okay, so that we need to define for this microstrip line, as I said, the structure which is having both air which is having epsilon r equal to 1 and epsilon r equal to 4.3 for a particular dielectric. So we have to define the effective dielectric constant. Okay, we have to define effective dielectric constant, so that within this medium all the whatever fields which we have discussed, so that should be confined within this, so the epsilon effective medium. Okay, so that's why, so this is important, we have to define the effective dielectric constant. So the effective dielectric constant is the homogeneous medium that would fill the entire space, okay, or entire the region where air and dielectrics which are involved. Okay, epsilon r equal to 1 and also epsilon r equal to whatever. So if I take an example for FR4, so it is 4.3. Okay, so this homogeneous medium, so the effective dielectric constant is the homogeneous medium which actually contains both epsilon r and 4.3. So that's why this effective dielectric constant, which is always in between the air and as well as the chosen dielectric material. So in this case FR4, so whatever you choose, so in between the effective dielectric constant will be there. Okay, so now how we can able to, or we can in general we can specify 1 less than effective dielectric constant less than epsilon r. So this epsilon r is for particularly for the particular dielectric material. Okay, and also we can define what is Z0, the characteristic impedance of the microstrip line. So that is in terms of the phase velocity and the C0. So because since it is a two conductor system, so there is a capacitance which is existing between these two. So because if you have two plates or two conductive plates, in between there is a medium, so there exists a capacitance. Okay, so that capacitance, so we can have the capacitance per unit length. Okay, so this C0 is the capacitance per unit length. Okay, so now we can define the characteristic impedance of the microstrip line by using this equation. Okay, so now you can define the wavelength. So generally you know the wavelength, so that is lambda, which is equal to c by f, where c is the speed of light, f is the frequency. Okay, so that in terms of the free space wavelength. Okay, so that lambda we can define, so this also we can define in terms of free space wavelength, that is root of epsilon r. So in general for any structure which is, even if you discuss the strip line, okay, so the strip line is nothing but there are two conductors, that is ground planes. So in between we will be having the conductor, so this will be having complete, so dependent on only the one material epsilon r which is there here and here, the dielectric materials. Okay, so in this case we can able to use only the epsilon r, but in our microstrip line case we have to use the effective epsilon. So now we can have the lambda, so for our effect that for our microstrip line, so will be define the wavelength as free space wavelength divided by the square root of the effective dielectric constant. Okay, so now in general for we have the TEM mode of propagation. Okay, so if I have the, that is like simple two conductor system which is having TEM mode and we have the epsilon r. Okay, so for this we can define lambda by root epsilon r. So whatever like strip line kind of system or even two conductor transmission line system. Okay, so if I define for quasi TEM, so that is for our the microstrip line, so this will be nothing but lambda by effective epsilon. So this is free space wavelength lambda naught. Okay, so this is how we can able to find out, and these are the expressions for to find out the particular parameters. Now we'll look at the some more parameters, how we can able to calculate so the parameters for designing the microstrip line. Okay, so now the most important parameter is effective dielectric constant. So that we can define. So for W by H, if it is greater than 1, okay, so that is far greater than 1. So that is W means width of the conductor and H is height of the dielectric, okay. So this ratio, if it is greater than 1, we have to use the effective dielectric constant, this equation, that is, so epsilon r plus 1 divided by 2, okay. So in plus epsilon r minus 1 divided by 2 into 1 plus 12 h by w whole power minus half. So this is the equation for effective dielectric constant, okay. So whenever the width to height ratio is far greater than 1. Now if it is far less than 1, okay, so that is less than or equal to 1, okay. So then we can use this effective dielectric constant, which is given by, so epsilon r plus 1 by 2 plus epsilon r minus 1 by 2 into 1 plus 12 h by w minus 1 over 1 by 2 minus 1 by 2. So this into plus 0.04 into 1 minus w by h whole square. So this is the equation for, so effective dielectric constant for w by h less than or equal to 1, okay. So now we can define the characteristic impedance. So we have one equation which we have used based on the phase velocity and capacitance, and even we can use one more equation by using the w by h ratio and effective epsilon r. So that we can write it as, so we can calculate what is the characteristic impedance of the microstrip line, so which is given by 60 by root effective epsilon into ln of 8 h by w plus w by 4 h, okay. So this is for the w by h ratio less than or equal to 1, okay. So now if I have the z0 which are w by h greater than or equal to 1, so then we can use this z0, that is 120 pi divided by root effective epsilon into w by h plus 1.393 plus 0.667 into ln of w by h plus 1.444, okay. So this is what we need to use for the characteristic impedance to calculate whenever the w by h ratio is greater than 1, greater than or equal to 1, okay. So now this is what, so we need to find out, or if I want to calculate what is the w by h ratio, okay. So I need to calculate what is w by h ratio. So again for that, so you can use the equation, if w by h ratio is less than or equal to 2, you can calculate what is w by h ratio. So this is actually the approximation method you have to use. So first you have to find out one equation. So if it is so greater than some value, so then you have to use the other equation. So that is 8 into e power a, so divided by e power 2a minus 2. So this is for w by h less than or equal to 2, and if w by h greater than or equal to 2, so then you have to use the equation for w by h to find out the w by h. So this you have to use, that is 2 by pi into b minus 1 minus ln of 2b minus 1, okay. So plus epsilon r minus 1 by epsilon r plus 1 into ln of b minus 1 plus 0.39 minus 0.61 divided by epsilon r. So this is the things you have to use. So the brackets are there. So this is what you have to use for w by h which are greater than 2, okay. So now where the a and b values, so you can have a and b values. A is nothing but Z0 by 60 into square root of epsilon r plus 1 by 2 plus epsilon r minus 1 by epsilon r plus 1, so into 0.23 plus 0.11 by epsilon. So this is the, so A value we have to find out, and similarly we can write the B value. Okay, so I'll write B value in the next page. Okay, so the B value, which is given by 377 pi divided by 2z0 into epsilon r. Okay, so this is what A and B values you have to use for finding W by H ratio. Okay, now similarly you can use the equation for finding out lambda. Okay, so whether based on the W by H ratio, so that is also we can, which is required. So W by H ratio, if it is 0.6 less than or equal to 0.6, you can use lambda. So that is find out the, for finding out the lambda, use this expression. So lambda by epsilon r into epsilon r divided by 1 plus 0.6 into epsilon r minus 1 into W by H into 0.2 into 0.0297. Okay, so this is the equation you can use for finding out lambda, and W by H greater than or equal to 0.6, you can use lambda by root epsilon r into, so epsilon r divided by 1 plus 0.63 into epsilon r minus 1 into W by H, so into 0.1. So this is actually not into power. Okay, WH power 0.0297. Okay, so here the power value, which is 0.125. So this is the WH whole power 0.0297. This is W by H whole power 0.1255. So whole square is there, that is square root of this is there. So you have to make it up. So this is the equation for W by H ratio, which is less than or equal to 0.6, and this is W by H ratio greater than 0.6, that is greater than or equal to 0.6. Okay, so these are all the sum of the equations we have to use for finding out the, so the design of microstrip line. Okay, so now we have to see the important factors, that is the loss factors, or we can have we can call it as the attenuation factors, because those are important. As I said, the tan delta or loss tangent, which actually defines the loss in the dielectric material. So now in whole, if we take the microstrip line, what are the losses which are there? Okay, so that we'll call it as attenuation factors. Okay, so now what are the attenuation factors which we have? So whenever the signal travels on the microstrip line, so there is a two types of loss it encounters, that is, one is conductor loss. Okay, so one is conductor loss and another one is dielectric loss. So this dielectric loss, as I said, so it is because of the loss in the dielectric material, so that represents tan delta. Okay, and this conductor loss, it is due to the resistance part, which is due to there in the conductor. Okay, so actually that loss happens due to skin effect, so that we have seen how the surface current varies with respect to frequency. Okay, so at particular frequency, whatever you define, at that frequency there will be a conductor loss. Okay, so These are two common losses which are encountered by the wave whenever it is propagating through the microstrip line. Okay, so now that loss factor so can be found out using the equation. So in generally, if I take the forward traveling wave, that is P plus of x, okay, the power due to forward traveling wave, so that we can write it as half into V of, that is V plus of x into I plus of x complex conjugate. So this is how we can able to find out the power. Okay, so or we can write this one as half into, so if I take the only magnitude terms, that is V plus of x by z naught, that is V plus of x whole square divided by z naught. Okay, so that we can so have the magnitude of this power in the forward direction. So now if I define the V plus of x, so in terms of its magnitude, so that we can write it as V naught plus, okay, so that we have already defined in e power gamma x. So now this gamma is nothing but we are alpha plus j beta, and this will represent the phase constant, this represents the attenuation constant. Actually in our discussion, this loss represents by this attenuation factor, that is alpha. Okay, so now if I put that one, so we can write it as V naught plus into e power alpha x into e power j beta x. Okay, so this is a phase factor, and this completely the magnitude and this factor which will actually tells us the loss, how much loss which is happening. Okay, so now if I find out the power in the forward traveling wave, so we can write it as V plus square, that is V naught plus square. So we can, if I take the only magnitude part, so if I substitute this V plus of x in terms of V naught plus and e power gamma, so you will get V naught plus square divided by 2 z naught into e power, so minus 2 alpha x into e power minus 2 beta x. Why? Because it is, if I take the I of x is also, so in terms of e power, so then we will be having 2, so e power minus 2 alpha x and e power minus 2 j beta x, it will be there. And if I consider this as p naught plus, so that will be, so we can write it as the loss which we can encounter, or just we can write p naught plus of x, which is represents the loss in the power. Okay, so that will be given it as, so this factor. Okay, so with respect to x at any point on the two conductor system or in microstrip line at any position, we can able to find how much the loss which is happening. Okay, so this alpha which is called as the total attenuation factor, or we can have the attenuation factor due to conductor and dielectric loss. Okay, so this conductor loss we can represent it as alpha d, alpha c conductor loss, and dielectric loss we can represent it as alpha d. Okay, so now we can find out, so by using this expression, so there is expressions for this the conductor loss and dielectric loss, so that we can use those expression to find out the corresponding attenuations. Okay, so that we can write it. So what is the expression for dielectric loss? So this is alpha d, which is equal to 27.3 into tan delta. So this is what we are talking about, the loss, that is tan delta, loss tangent or tan delta. So this you can also, whenever you design in the next semester in the lab, so we can able to come to know how much so variation of tan delta will be deteriorating the performance of the microstrip line. That we can see whenever we do lab in the next semester. Okay, and this is the so expression for finding out the dielectric loss of a microstrip line. So this will be represented as dB per centimeter, how much dB attenuation which is happening per centimeter. Okay, so as I said, this tan delta is the loss tangent of the dielectric, so that we can represent by sigma by omega epsilon. This sigma is the conductivity of that dielectric, and omega, so it at particular frequency, angular frequency, and epsilon, so that is the epsilon naught into epsilon r. Okay, so this is about the dielectric loss. And even for high dielectric loss, if the material which is having higher dielectric loss, so we have to use this expression. This is for low dielectric loss and medium dielectric loss. If I have high dielectric loss, so we can use the alpha D, which is equal to 4.34 into sigma into mu naught by epsilon naught whole power half into 1 over epsilon r minus 1, okay, into effective epsilon minus 1 divided by square root of effective epsilon. So this is the expression for higher dielectric losses. Okay, sigma is the conductivity of the dielectric, and you know mu naught is the permittivity of free space. Okay, so we can use this expression for finding out the dielectric loss for higher dielectric loss constant materials. Okay, and even attenuation due to conductor loss also we can write. So we can use the expression to find out the attenuation due to conductor loss, that we can represent it as alpha C, so which is given by Rs divided by Z naught into omega. So Rs is the surface resistivity, and we can find out by using this expression, that is pi of mu naught divided by sigma, where sigma is the conductivity of the conductor. Okay, so in general, so in microstrip line what will happen, so this we can use the unit which is Napier per meter, so in order to express the conductor loss. And in general, what happens to microstrip line, the conductor loss is actually more dominant compared to dielectric loss. Okay, so in most of the microstrip line, so this alpha C, which is conductor loss, which is dominant over the dielectric loss. So that's why in almost all the cases we can approximate the loss, so which is alpha, which is equal to alpha C. So but in general, so if we consider both conductor and dielectric loss, it is addition of conductor and dielectric loss. This is the total attenuation factor. Okay, so this is about the microstrip line, how the mode of propagation or wave propagation happens, and how to find out or how to design the microstrip line at a particular frequency using the different expression. So most important parameters which we can have is the characteristic impedance, frequency, and epsilon r of the material which we need. Okay, so these are all the important things, at least minimum basic details required to design the microstrip line, and also the thickness of the dielectric, because we have epsilon r, so we have particular thickness we need, and also which is the conductor needed, and conductor thickness T. So these are the minimum basic details required to design the microstrip line. Even you can check in the online, so there is a calculator, microstrip online calculator. So if I particularly input all these things, okay, at what frequency and for what characteristic impedance and what are the material parameters, then it will give the dimension of that microstrip line, how much length you have to use, how much width you have to use. Okay, so that according to that you can design and you can look at the response. Okay, so that is how we can able to find out the parameters for microstrip line. You can look at it whenever you are free. You just go to online and type microstrip line calculator. It will give the, it will ask for the some basic details like this. So if you input those details, you can have the dimensions of the microstrip line. So in general, we have the characteristic impedance, we will design always for 50 ohm. Okay, so you can take in general the value for characteristic impedance 50 ohm. Okay, so this is about the microstrip line. So if you have any doubt, you can ask. Anybody any doubt? Hello, understood or any doubt? Okay, so now we'll briefly I'll just briefly explain the next concept. So that is the circuit representation of two-port network. Okay, circuit representation of the two port network. So why we use for these two port networks? So any idea? So what is actually two port network? You might have studied in your network analysis. Okay, so two port network, and what are the parameters, what are the network parameters you are going to use. Okay, so you have two port network means you have the port 1 and port 2. So there are only two ports to access. Okay, so in that two port network, so there will be a input port, or we can have a excitation port. Okay, and we'll be having a output port or the response port. What you will going to get the response particular to this port, this network representation. Okay, so that is what actually the two port network. So now this in the circuit point of view, if we see at low frequencies, okay, we have a low frequency parameters. Okay, low frequency parameters, and similarly when you come to the RF and microwave, we have the high frequency parameters. Okay, so now what are the low frequency parameters and what are the high frequency parameters? Okay, so in your network analysis you have studied, so what are the low frequency parameters, how to characterize the two port network. Okay, so if you have like V1, so if I apply the input voltage, okay, so you can take it as V1, and correspondingly there will be I1, and similarly if I put here V2, and there is a corresponding I2. So there are many low frequency parameters in order to characterize this two port network. Okay, so what are all those parameters? You might have studied in your network: Z parameters, H parameters, and Y parameters, ABCD parameters. Is it not? So these are all the low frequency parameters which we can able to characterize the two port network based on the parameters which we are going to obtain. Okay, so now if I define the same for the if I define the Z parameters for the network shown here, so this is two port network we can write. So the corresponding input voltage V1, corresponding voltage I1, and this is I2, and this is V2. So now what are Z parameters? So Z parameters, just if I can apply this, so Z parameters to this to find out the Z parameters of this two port network, we have so the V1 voltage, so that we can represent it as Z11 I1 plus Z12 I2. Okay, that is, so Z11 parameter is nothing but the ratio of V1 by I1, that is at the input stage, that is Z11. So what is the input impedance at the input stage or input side? Okay, Z12 is, so in between, so we will be having the impedance between the port 1 and port 2. Okay, so that is the ratio of V1 by I2, how much current coming from port 2 and what is the voltage at the port 1 end. So similarly we can write V2, okay, so which are nothing but Z21 I1, okay, so similarly plus Z22 I2. So these are all the Z parameters where we can apply for two port network, or we can apply in terms of the matrix representation. We can represent in matrix representation, that is V1 V2. Okay, so similarly Z11 Z12 Z21 and Z22. So this we have already seen in the network theory also. So this is the matrix representation for Z parameters. Now similarly we can have the network parameters Y parameters. So even you can similarly represent Y11, Y12, Y21 and Y22. So we will be having V1 and V2, and here we will be having I1 and I2. So this is the reciprocal of this impedance parameter, so that is the admittance parameter. So these are all called as impedance parameters, and this will be called it as admittance parameters. Okay, so now similarly we have hybrid parameters, that is which will be called it as H parameters. So that we can write it as V1, so that is I2, so which will be define it as H11, H12, H21, H22. Okay, and here we will be having I1 and V2. So these are all called as hybrid parameters. And finally we have the ABCD parameters. So these ABCD parameters are very important in cascaded networks. Okay, so that is because we can directly multiply the ABCD parameters of one network. Okay, so if I have a cascaded networks of 2, okay, so this is the cascaded network 1 and 2. Okay, so now if I have a ABCD parameter of this and this, so we can obtain the response from the output port, okay, from the input port by just multiplying the ABCD parameters of these two networks. So that is very much advantages of the ABCD parameter, or we can call it as transmission parameters. We can write that one. So V1 I1, so which is equal to, so ABCD into V2 minus I2. Okay, so these are all the ABCD parameters, how we can represent the matrix form. So simply if I just find out, so for some 2 wire system, so which is having a one line which is having impedance, so other one which is grounded. So if I apply V1 and we will be having V2, just find out the Z or ABCD parameters for this, how we can able to find out. So simply we can able to find out very easily for ABCD parameters for this. So there is I1 and there is I2. So simply apply the KCL or KVL, so we can get that. So that is V1 minus I1 Z, so I1 Z minus V2, which is equal to 0. Okay, so this is what we'll get by applying the KVL. So we'll get V1 equal to, so that is V2 plus I1 Z. So now we can see here, so I1 equal to minus I2, we can write like that. Okay, so we can apply that V1 equal to V2 minus I2 Z. So this is one expression. And similarly if I apply the current, that is I1 equal to minus I2, simply I can write like that. So these are the two equations, so where we can obtain the ABCD parameter of this. Just you can compare the equation of these two for this, and similarly what are the actual expressions. So the actual expression is V1 equal to A into V2 minus B into I2, and similarly I1 equal to C into V2 minus D into I2. Now if we compare this equation with this equation, we will come to know that the A value is 1, okay, and B value is, so that is Z, you can see here. And similarly you can write this expression again once more, so that is 0 into V2 minus D into I2. So you can see here D value equal, which is equal to 1, and C value which is equal to 0. So for this particular network we can write the ABCD parameter as, so which is equal to 1 Z 0 1. Okay, so similarly we can have the ABCD parameter for cascaded networks and many other networks. Even we can calculate for Y. So simply in terms of Z, if you write in terms of Y, so that also we can able to write easily what are the ABCD parameters of that. So this is about the low frequency parameters, which will be useful to find out the parameters or the particular two-port network characterization. Okay, so this will stop here and we'll continue the high frequency parameters in the next class. Okay, so wait for a minute. So is there any doubt, anybody? So if you have any doubt you can ask, particularly in any the network parameter or even the microstrip line. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Okay, anybody, any doubt? Yes, understood. Any doubt?
No doubt, sir.
Prithviraj?
No doubt, sir.
Okay, so then we'll discuss high frequency parameters. High frequency parameters in the next class.